to start with, we thought it might be helpful to do a show and tell in how to use one part of Zoom. Zoom is something we've been using for every webinar. It was thanks to Heike Philp that we discovered it and really had to learn how to use it within a couple of hours when we had an emergency, when we needed to be able to have a webinar and the program that we were using didn't work. And it is something which we found you could learn to use quite easily. The thing though which we've had to learn a bit more about is how to share a screen in Zoom. There are some excellent videos that you can watch produced by Zoom, but we thought we'd just go through this now, ready for this particular webinar, so that if people want to share, they've had a recent revision as to how to do it. So, as a host, you're able to allow people to share their screens. So what you can see in front of you is a control panel, which as a participant you don't see, but as a host we do see. And you can see I can click on security, and at that point I can allow people to share screens. In fact, it's an extremely important part of Zoom that I think that you can ensure that people are not allowed to share their screen to begin with, so that you don't get people sharing inappropriate images until you know that everybody in the room is the people you want to have in the room. So what should you do? Well, before you're sharing, you should open the application you actually want to share. For example, if you want to do as I'm doing now, if you want to have a slideshow for the PowerPoint, you actually have to open it as a slideshow before you start to share. So the picture I've given you there is what a PowerPoint looks like before it's been launched, and then you would click on, and this is a very old version of PowerPoint I've got here, you can see, but I would actually launch it to do a slideshow before I even click on share. So the next thing you do is here at the bottom, you click on share screen. So there's a green thing there, click on share screen, and what happens next? The next thing is that you're given a choice of all the various windows and screens that you've got open, and I've got a couple of screens here at the moment. You've got to think, well, which is the bit that I do want to share? The advice is that you should normally avoid sharing your desktop, especially when you're with students, because that way they would see perhaps all your private information. Now here, the confusing thing perhaps is that it looks, say I want to share this thing about Shakespeare. I've got two which look very similar. Well, one of them is the PowerPoint itself, but this is the one I want to share. It's the one that says PowerPoint slideshow. So I would click on that, and that would be the thing that I would then share. You don't click on the one which has got the PowerPoint. So if you make a mistake and select the PowerPoint one, so I've deliberately said the PowerPoint one, so that's the wrong one, what will happen? Everybody will see this. So, you know, it's not totally disastrous. They can see the PowerPoint as you go through, but it isn't a slideshow. However, and so what would you do? You would actually select a new share, and that's something as well. You don't have to stop the share and start a new one. You can just click on new share. You'll have the choice in front of you again, and this time you'll go for the one that says PowerPoint slideshow, and then it should work that you click, and then you've got the correct selection. If you're in a position where you're sharing and you suddenly think, but where are all the controls, those lovely little meeting controls in the black box where you've got mute, stop video, they've disappeared. The way in which you get them back again is you click on this green bit here. I mean, before I used to just generally go like this and it would happen, but actually if you click on that green section there, then it will restore those meeting controls. Okay. If at any time you want to stop the share, it's really easy. You click the red stop share, not too difficult. And if you have problems, the host can control. So I'm at the moment as the host, I'm looking up at my screen, and I've got one of the possibilities is remote control. So I could click on that and I could say to you, would you like me to control your screen? But be aware, you can abort control if I'm really taking it too far. So first of all, you'd have the waiting for me to control your screen, then I control the screen, but you can always then abort control. It can be quite distressing when you're sharing a screen that suddenly you can't see the chat, you can't see what people are saying, or you can't see the participant list. The way you get back to that is, first of all, you've pressed on your green bit in order to get these meeting controls back. And then there are these 3 dots, which I've learnt recently is called an ellipsis. And you click on that, and then under there are all these things that you can do. So you would click on chat in order to get the chat. Okay, so if you do that, you get the chat back. There it is, and it's floating in the middle of your screen. This is where the ideal is, if you've got 2 screens, you would then be able to move that onto another screen. Otherwise, to be honest, it's not really very, very convenient. But at least you can get back to the chat that way. Or I think it was Heike who suggested this. You could be had perhaps another device open so that you could be following the chat that way. But you would have to disable the sound on that, I think, in order to not get an echo. This is really important. If you want to share something which has got sound, and that's very often what we're doing, isn't it, with teaching languages, you want to share a video with audio, or just audio itself, the best thing is to plan for it. So at the point at which you are choosing which of these to share, for example, here I want to share a YouTube video. Can you see in the bottom left, you've got the option to share computer sound. So that would mean that rather than us hearing the sound from your speakers, which it's doable, we hear it, but it's not a very good quality, you'd actually hear a pretty good quality there. The other recommendation is that you also click on optimize the share screening, because particularly if you've got lots of people in the room, that apparently will make it that you'll reduce the bandwidth and it'll be a better experience for everybody watching. And another expression I've learned recently from watching these Americans on the Zoom, you can do it on the fly. So if you haven't managed to share beforehand, think, oh, I've got to do that, you don't have to close it and then reshare it. You can just click on the more, and then you can see there on the drop-down menu, share computer sound. And again, the optimize share for full screen video clip also appears. If for any reason you prefer your meeting controls to be at the bottom of the screen, which, for example, at the moment, I'm just realizing that I would have preferred it because I've got the meeting control showing at the top, and you might realize that I'm sometimes hesitating on what I've put at the top because I can't read it because it's underneath. By the way, you can actually hide the controls if you want to, but one thing you can do is you can dock it to the bottom. So instead of having your controls at the top, you would click on that little down arrow there, click on that, and when you hover, it says dock to bottom, and it docks to bottom. So there it is down there. And if you wanted to go up to the top again, there you can see the arrows just going up. You would click on it and it would take it to the top. So that's going through for the person who's sharing the screen. If you are watching someone sharing their screen, you also have options. So it would say, for example, you're viewing AWL London's screen. You can see that now. And on the view options, if you were to click on that, you've got these choices. So you can, if you want to, still see the video panel. If you're really fed up with what I'm doing and you think, I want to take over control, you can request remote control. Actually, no, it's if you want me to take control of yours, you can do that. If you're in the full screen and you think, actually, I want to be able to see all of the other things as well, you could exit it. If I was sharing a video or something, you actually for some reason didn't want to hear the sound, you could mute it. And the side by side is where you could see me sharing this on the left hand side and everything else would be on the right hand side.